So you've come up with a short film idea. Now what do you do with it? In this episode, I'm going to show you how to turn that idea into a screenplay that we can then use to film our short film. If you haven't got an idea yet, please check out episode 1 of this series where I discuss some methods on how to generate ideas. So you should have a basic storyline, a list of locations, people and props that you can use in this film. So the story I'm going to work with has one cast member, that's me, has one location, which is my living room, and a prop is an old style telephone. It's important to be able to explain and describe your story in one simple sentence. By doing this, it will give you a clear indication of what your film is about from beginning to end. Even the longest and most intricate films can usually be summarised in one sentence. So this is a very simple way to understand your film, but it's not enough to make a movie. We need to breathe some life into it, flesh it out and make it a lot more interesting. The way to do this is to write a treatment explaining everything that happens from beginning to end, with enough detail that will give us our scenes that we need to write. So in my example, a man receives a package that he's been waiting for. He opens it excitedly and inside is the old-fashioned telephone. After a little bit of tinkering around, he manages to get it working and he hears a dialing tone. After a few moments, the telephone actually rings. He answers it and hears some strange noises coming through the receiver. But most noticeable is a sequence of numbers that is being repeated. He decides to write these numbers down, and after a while of hesitation, he decides to put the numbers into the telephone. As he does, he's transported back in time into a very unusual situation. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't say any more about it. But that's how you should think of your idea. Flesh it out and write this treatment. It doesn't have to be very long, maybe 1 page at the most. As we're doing short films, it might be shorter than that, but that's no problem. It's just to give us a starting point for when we write the script. A good way to start is to use the 3-act method, which is quite universally used in film, theatre, novels and short stories, where Act 1 is the introduction, which introduces our characters, the world we're in and our setting. Act 2 is where the majority of the film happens. This is where all the interesting plot lines come in. This is where there's conflicts. This is how we see a gradual development of our character. And Act 3 is the last part of the film, where we may see the climax of the film and some kind of character change and end result. Okay, so now it's time to actually start doing some creative writing. I find a good way to do this is to go into a script writing software. The one I use is called Trelby. It's free to use, very basic, very user friendly. The idea is now to split that treatment into scenes that we're going to be filming. So for my example, the first scene is going to be the man opening the package, seeing the telephone. The second scene, he tries to get it to work. We do this through the whole film, using the treatment as a guide. So now we're in the script writing software. We're not going to worry about slug lines, which is how a script writer relays the information of where we are. And we're not going to worry about dialogue, which obviously is characters talking. The only thing we're going to worry about is the action part of the scene. And it's important to remember that we're not writing a script with the intention of selling it to a production company or giving it to another director to use. You're writing it for yourself. So you don't have to be too concerned about whether it's standard format or official format, as long as you can make sense of it and you can use it. Now we're going to write our script entries above our scenes. The first thing to do is to input your slug line or location for our first scene. If you right click on the mouse, it will bring a drop down menu for each type of entry: scene, action, dialogue, etc. Click on scene and then start typing, or you can use a keyboard shortcut Alt-S. We write either int or ext, whether we are inside, interior, or outside, exterior. Then write the location and finally whether it's day or night. Then we write the action part. Right click, then left click on action or use Alt-A. Now let's select shot on the drop down or Alt T. Only use this if there is a particularly important camera angle that you want to use. I've used a close-up on the telephone, so hit Alt N to highlight the object. Now for some dialogue. We hit Alt C and type our character name. Once you press enter, it will take it into dialogue format. Type the dialogue and hit enter. Repeat the process until you need to write in more action by pressing Alt A. You can also use parentheticals, which describe something important. Like in this example, we're here static between the words. Now just keep going like this, filling in slug lines, characters, action, camera shots, dialogue until your script is complete. And always remember to save your progress. So once you finish your script, you're now ready to take it to the next step where we can start thinking about actually filming it. It's important to remember that a script in this format is generally 1 page equals 1 minute of film time. So if your script is 3 pages long, you can safely assume that it's going to be approximately 3 minutes long once it's finished, give or take, depending on the type of action in it and the style of film. In the next episode, I'm going to discuss equipment. So we'll be talking about camera, lighting, sound, and I'll be going over some basic camera angles and techniques that you can use when filming your film. Thank you very much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please remember to hit the subscribe button and press that notification bell so you'll be alerted when episode 3 of this series comes out. See you next time.